What's up, everybody? Kevin Forbese here to talk sports with you today. And there's something that's been bothering me a little bit recently. During the NBA playoffs thus far, Kevin Durant has been playing magnificently. He's been arguably the best player in the playoffs. But I think there's a narrative surrounding him that I think maybe just isn't quite true. I've heard many a time that Kevin Durant has clearly separated himself as the best player in the NBA. That it's now Kevin Durant and then everybody else. And yes, Durant's been virtually unstoppable when he's wanted to these playoffs, but are we getting a little ahead of ourselves? Now, here are a couple of reasons for that. One, did we forget about the season Giannis Antetokounmpo and James Harden just came off of? Harden put up one of the most prolific scoring seasons in NBA history, averaging over 36 points a game and willing the Rockets to the playoffs. Giannis Antetokounmpo, with virtually no other stars, Chris Middleton's a very, very good player, but he's not a star, led the Bucks to the best record in the league, number one overall seed, after they didn't really have any big offseason additions. It was basically just Giannis. Yes, they got a new coach. But those guys were ridiculous this year. And let's we not forget that guy in LA. Yes, LeBron and co had a bad season. But do you remember the narrative 12 months ago when the playoffs were going on and LeBron single-handedly carried the Cleveland Cavaliers to the NBA Finals? Yeah, the Cleveland team that finished in the bottom 5 in the league with virtually the same roster. Now that's saying something. And yes, Durant's been ridiculous in these playoffs. 45-point game, he had a 50-plus point game, and he's been dominant. But in this Houston Rockets and Golden State Warriors series, James Harden has identical numbers. 47% from the field, 64 points, 10 rebounds. Is Durant really that much better than Harden? Yes, he's probably the greatest offensive weapon we see today. Durant, as I've heard said many times recently, there's never a bad shot for Kevin Durant. But let's not forget who's on Kevin Durant's team. He plays on a team with the greatest shooting backcourt in NBA history. Steph Curry is quite frankly the greatest shooter we've ever seen, and Klay Thompson's not far behind. Draymond Green is an all-NBA defender and a great passer on the offensive end. He's got one of the best head coaches, Steve Kerr. Yes, Durant's been amazing, but let's not forget the greatness of that team. Remember, proximity to greatness helps everybody. For years, the Spurs have been running players through their system, and everyone's like, oh man, look at all these role players the Spurs have. And time again, those role players leave, and they're not nearly as good. For every Gary Neal, Bano Udrich, countless other players. They look great, they flourish with the Spurs, and then they leave. Proximity to greatness does not mean greatness. And yeah, Durant's been amazing in these playoffs. But let's not forget, what are teams supposed to do? Double Durant and Curry gets a wide open shot. Or Klay Thompson. You gonna give that up? Durant's not really facing double teams on a regular basis. And when teams do double, the Warriors make him pay. Curry and Thompson are two of the greatest offensive weapons and carried a top 5 offense even before Kevin Durant, the top offense in the league. So let's not over-exaggerate what Kevin Durant is doing here. He's playing alongside one of the most dominant forces that we've seen is Steph Curry, who has some of the greatest gravity on the floor. I mean, with Steph crosses half court, he's immediately being covered. Defenses pay special attention to Steph no matter where he goes. And it's a big reason the Warriors offense runs like it does. They get layups, dunks, backdoor cuts, wide open threes, all because teams don't want to let Steph beat them. Teams aren't game planning around Durant. They say, we'll let Durant score. What can you do? teams are trying to make sure Steph doesn't get hot. Because when Steph gets hot, you're done. It's over. So yeah, Durant's been amazing. But let's not forget the other guy on the team. And what is it saying when teams are actively game planning to try and stop Curry and just say, we'll let Durant beat us? I mean, yeah, it's a pick your poison, double-edged sword, whatever you want to call it. But if you're really the greatest player in the world, shouldn't you be the one being game planned to stop? And let's not forget what Giannis and LeBron have done the last couple seasons. Do you really think Durant would have taken that Bucks team to the #1 seed? Giannis has been the primary ball handler, getting teammates involved. He's been a beast defensively and on the offensive end. You think Durant last year could have carried that Cleveland team to the NBA Finals? I don't. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in NBA history outside of LeBron that could have done that. So yeah, LeBron's had an off season. But Giannis has been great. Harden's been great. If you trade Harden and KD, are the Rockets anywhere near as good as they are? And I don't know. I mean, these are all hypothetical scenarios, and it's always good to ponder and question. But we're never really going to know the answer. And I think that's the beauty of the NBA, is that as much as we try and decipher what we truly see, we're always left with more questions. What if LeBron was on those Bulls teams? Would they have still won 6 championships? What if MJ had to go through that Cleveland situation? Would MJ have won the 6 championships that he won with the Bulls? Every scenario is different. It's impossible to really know what would truly happen. But what James Harden has done and is doing, what Giannis has done and is doing this season, don't they belong in that conversation for the greatest player? Doesn't what LeBron did 12 months ago matter? Yeah, he didn't play that great this year. Still put up 27, 8, and 8. That's a pretty good down year if you ask me. Durant is in the conversation for the greatest player alive. He's definitely in the conversation. But he still plays for the Warriors. He still has one of the most comfortable situations you'll find where he scores, but he's not always needed. And his team wins 90% of the games when it's just Steph Curry without Durant. They win like 60 without Curry and with Durant. I mean, maybe that says something about the system that the Warriors have built around Steph Curry. But doesn't that say something about Durant? I mean, can you really be the greatest player alive if you're not the most important player on your team? Is that how that works nowadays? Did we say when Michael Jordan was in the 6 feet that, oh, he's the best player, but Scotty's more valuable? Nobody said that. When LeBron went to 8 straight finals, did anybody say, oh, Kyrie Irving's more important than LeBron? No. Dwayne Wade was never more important than LeBron. But right now, Stephen Curry is more important than Durant. And maybe what this whole issue boils down to is how much we undervalue what Steph Curry means to the NBA. On a nightly basis, he wreaks havoc on the offensive end, whether he's scoring or not, whether he's hitting 30-footers or not. Teams are scared. The fear of God is put into every team that plays against Steph Curry, because when he gets hot, there's nothing you can do. And that fear that teams face, that's one of the greatest things we've ever seen. Has there ever been a player that you had to guard as soon as he crossed half court? What Steph Curry has done is insane. He can hit a shot from 36 feet, and he has some of the best handles we've ever seen. He's a very willing and unselfish passer, willing to make the extra pass to KD or Clay or Draymond or Iggy. But he's always willing to take a shot. So let's not undersell what Steph Curry has done here. Kevin Durant's been great. But is he the greatest player alive? No, I think that conversation is one worth having. Durant's been great. He's been remarkable in these playoffs. But he's not there yet. Giannis, Harden, Steph, KD, LeBron. It's a great conversation to have. Top 5 players in the NBA. Who's the greatest? I don't know. And that's why we watch.